facing the community and our education system. These questions are very broad in nature. You only have 90 seconds to answer, so you'll have to really get to the heart of what your view is. And we're going to go in the order that was randomly chosen ahead of time. To give the first respondent a chance to absorb a little bit, I will pause for about 5 seconds and give that first respondent a chance to know what the question was. Ideally, note the question down so I don't have to repeat it, because our time is going to fly by. All right, so the first question, which Dan Cherry will be the first person to respond to this one with 90 seconds. Here's the question. School overcrowding at multiple school sites was listed as a key concern in questions received from the community. How will you address the challenges of overcrowding while maintaining a high quality of education? So we'll wait a few seconds. Okay, Dan Cherry.
Great. Yes, and in fact, that's what I mentioned as the main reason I'm running. I've been talking about overcrowding now, attending school board meetings for at least nine years. We've been meeting the high growth scenarios year after year, yet we continue to plan for the medium growth scenario. We need to maintain our bond funds to build for the growth and not spend them on things we can fund by other ways, like another parcel tax or some other method to buy, like operating computers and whiteboards and that kind of stuff. We need to hold our long-term bond money to build schools to house all of these students. We need to make sure developers pay the maximum amount they can, and we need to make sure that the money is being spent as well as possible. For instance, we're going to be building a new high school, hopefully, but yet we're now planning to spend a good share of our recently passed bond on increasing capacity at the existing high school over what is required.
And Mr. Cunningham?
You ready, Mary? Okay. So, first of all, we want to start out by, we already provide a high quality of education. Our schools have improved year over year since I've been on board. Even before that, the last 12 years, our students have really succeeded. We have kids going to universities all across the country. And we need to continue to do that. We will continue to do that. That's why we operate as a professional learning community. We look at what the students need, how do we get it to them, and then if they're not getting what they need, what do we need to do? As far as the growth, we have been really working very hard on working on the growth issue. One of the things we've been doing is been advocating up in Sacramento, myself along with other board members such as Amy Miller, and I went up to Sacramento and we advocated to the state of California to get level 3 fees imposed in Sacramento. We were the first district ever to ask for that. We finally got that. We have been really working to make sure the state pitches in their fair share, because we can't do it with just the money from Dublin. It just won't happen. The numbers to build out here are astronomical. So we need to make sure that the state of California participates. And along the process, we are going to do things like expand the Dublin High. Why? Because we need more classroom space there, and we need to make sure that the flexibility of those spaces are available, and that's what the new science and engineering will allow. It will allow flexible learning spaces for our students, which is what's needed in the future. Thank you.
And Ms. Blackman?
Thank you. I first want to mention that one of the most important things in addressing growth is actually looking at the alignment between the resources that you have, the physical environments that are available in your district. Aligning those, it's sort of a fluid dynamics puzzle with a constant growth, ebb and flow of student populations. We know currently that we're almost maxed out in certain grade levels in certain locations. And so we're diverting students to other areas, which means that those students are enduring an extra long commute between where they live and where they go to school. And that's really disingenuous, I feel, to those students. We hear about it every now and then in the news. We need to find a better way to address it. Take into consideration the quality of the education we're giving the kids. It doesn't just start when they enter the classroom. It starts when they are at home, they're engaged in their homework, talking with their friends, and when they're in those long commutes. So from my point of view, my experience, it means looking at those assets and aligning them with our student population projections. We know that we are going to exceed some of our capacities very shortly, And so as a trustee, I'll be looking at what those issues are and how we can get to a statement where we actually admit we are over capacity in some of our facilities. It is not okay to continue to add portables and to deny what everybody knows is true. Thank you.
Mr. Hakeem?
We are a growing district. We definitely have crowding in our schools, and we need to address that by building more schools. And the reason we cannot build more, we started that by building E5, and we should be building more schools to accommodate the growth, which we expect to happen in the next few years. Quality of education gets impacted if we have overcrowding in our schools, because every student needs that kind of attention from the teachers, so that the teachers can meet the create an equitable learning environment, and that equitable environment cannot be provided in a crowded classroom. I presume we should be building more schools, and we can do that by charging higher developer fees, by advocating in Sacramento to get the funds which we need to build the schools, as well as getting some support from the administrators in terms of program efficiencies and other things. Quality of education gets impacted if we are not teaching what is required for the student to learn in their classroom. And I would say that having things like building Jordan Ranch, putting closure to Fallon Middle School, enabling the current students, right-sizing classrooms in DK, K through 5, and enabling it all through will help us.
Ms. Wong?
From my understanding, we have overcrowding in schools here, and then second school already on the master, second high schools are in the master plan. And then there's 6 potential sites under environmental check. And then I think that we need to, I kind of like want to bring up some ideas if it's Ken Park become possible. Then I would like to encourage for the communication between the community and the federal. So federal will hear what community really wants, and then we can have a community, people can write letters, emails, even collect thousands of paper petition, and have a lobby to the federal to speed up the process of that. And then also, as well as other side, I also have some information, out of box thinking regarding the site. I understand that we have okay, sorry. Yeah, and then for the high quality of education, we really need a very well budget, so we can have enough money for the programs. So if I'm elected, I would like to look really deep into the budget, and then I can see there is a potential possible to save millions of dollars just from the bond measure interest. Last year we paid about $12.4 million only for the interest. So if we can have enough money, I'd like to have enough program support for those quality education become a reality.
Ms. Miller?
Sorry. Yeah, I would like to say that we work every day to address the challenges that overcrowding has had, the effects that it's had on our district. And I would say that the quality of education in Dublin hasn't suffered one bit. Our test scores continue to go up. We have hired assistant principals at every level. We have hired more counselors. We've provided services for students, like our response to intervention program, K through 12. We're providing supports for students to succeed. We haven't had a problem. We've had some problems hiring teachers, but we have amazing teachers, and we work really hard to retain them. And our class sizes are still the lowest in the region, even given the issues that we're facing with overcrowding. And I think, I've heard a couple times long-term plan or long-range vision, and I think that's something that we work on constantly, which is why expanding Dublin High School is so critical before we can open the second high school, because we're going to be short close to 1,300 seats by 2021. So those students have to go somewhere, and if our first phase of the second high school is not open till then, they have to have a place to sit. So I think we are actually extremely thoughtful in terms of how we're going to manage this growth, and I think we've done a great job. I also think we've been pretty innovative at how to do it, and we hear a lot of complaints about portables, but we have really nice portables, and we're actually expanding to get portables that offer more flex space so that we can have different programs in them. We just put some new ones at Fallon Middle School that are big enough for the music program. I think there's a lot of thought that goes into it, and okay, I'm done, sorry. Look at my notes.
And Mr. Giannini.
So in my 15 years here, I've seen us grow from 5,000 kids to 10,000 kids. We're moving towards 15,000 kids. Of course, crowding and overcrowding is going to be an issue. But one of the goals of the USD is to keep kids in their neighborhood schools. And I think we've done a great job of doing that. Have we used portables? Yes, we have. Will we continue to use portables? Yes, we will. Will there be more of them? Yes. I was on the DOC, District Optimization Committee, that helped come together with the idea of Jordan Ranch School, which will be our newest K-8 school. Okay, it might sound a little scary, it's something different. It allows us flexibility. That's what we need. We don't know exactly what kid's going to come. It's going to be a 4th grader, 7th grader, 8th grader. Now we'll have some flexibility to accommodate our growth. Do we need to address the high school? Of course we do. Is funding going to be difficult? Yes. We have a bond coming through. We're going to need state money, and we definitely need developers to pitch in their fair share. Schools are very, very costly to build. Land is very costly to acquire. It's going to be a challenge. One thing I think that we can reach out a little further and do, speak with the city council and developers to slow down the growth a bit. Let's slow down a bit, allow us to catch our breaths, get these schools online, get our portables installed, and get the kids into their neighborhood schools. That's the big key for me. Keeping kids as close to home as possible, especially with K-5, then moving with the middle schoolers, and lastly the high schoolers. Thank you.
All right, we move on to our second question.